All right, so a couple of months ago, we released a video for you guys talking about our favorite ways to rig the Geecrack Bellows Gill. I think we missed a couple things. We're gonna do a little bit more of a comprehensive, entire breakdown. This is our favorite ways on how we rig the Geecrack Bellows Gill. What's up guys, Travis here from Tackle Bros. And one of the most common questions we get asked in the shop is, what the heck is this thing? For you guys that are familiar, this is the Geecrack Bellows Gill. One of the most popular baits in the store. One of the most unique looking baits, I'll say. And today we're gonna go over our favorite ways to rig it, the hook sizes you should be using to do it, and yeah, just a couple other cool options that maybe you've overlooked. So let's get into it. So the Bellows Gill is essentially this deep ribbed bluegill style bait. Very, very popular. A lot of guys use it for flipping, pitching, stuff like that, but there's a ton of other ways you can do it. I'm gonna start out with the big one and we're gonna work our way down and I'm gonna show you what we like to do with it, and then you can interpret for yourself. So maybe you're like, I don't really feel like flipping with it. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. So I'll start here with the 5.8 inch Bellows Gill. Now, this is their largest offering, available in a ton of colors. All of these are gonna be that deep ribbing, and they also all come with SAF material. Now that is their salt amino flavoring scent. It smells like corn chips. Fish seem to like it. This guy, for me, is a straight flipping bait. I generally don't pair it up with too many other things. For hooks, I'm gonna recommend you the size, and I'm gonna recommend them in the Bellows hook from ZAPPU. If you guys like Infinis, the sizes are pretty much the same. If you like something else, just kind of play with it. It'll be in and around the size I'm saying. For the 5.8 inch, we are gonna be using a 6/0 Bellows hook. So this is it rigged up. Basically, you can either throw a little weight on there or not. Throw it out there and swim it around. It has a ton of action in the tail. If you've used them, you know. If you've not, you probably need to try these. All right, let's talk about the 3.8 size. Now this is probably the most common size. It's gonna be a 3.8 inch, same thing as the big guy, tons of ribbing. One thing that I will touch on with all of these, the ribs actually act as sort of a weed guard. So you can, just tuck your hook into the tip of one of these. They're very, very flexible, so you just pop it in there. It doesn't take away from any of the action. It works really good. But one way we like to use this is on a Owner Flashy Swimmer. This is gonna be a 3/0. The 3.8 inch size is gonna be for a 3/0 hook. That's my hook of preference. And then there it is there with the 3/0 Bellows hook, so kind of fits in perfectly. You don't wanna get too big of a hook on this. You wanna leave a ton of action in that tail. And this is kind of right to the point where it starts to taper off. You wanna be just before that taper point with your hook. So again, 3/0 is the preferred one for this. Another one for the 3.8 inch is actually going to be on a GIKA rig. Super effective, man, because this will have a little bit of a slower fall to it with all the ribbing and all the flatness. You just basically have this on the bottom. This guy is down there doing its thing with the tail. The GIKA rig is another deadly, deadly way that we like to throw this guy. We will actually throw these on a Carolina rig a lot. The 3-inch size works great. These are good for a Carolina rig because the rate of fall with the width of the body, it disperses more water, falls a little bit slower. A lot of the best, free rig and Carolina rig style baits are these flat style baits. They disperse the most amount of water, so they're gonna have the slowest fall rate. So yeah, free rig, Carolina rig, underspin, flipping, those are gonna be probably the top 4 ways. You can also use this one as a jig trailer, but I have one other one that I prefer to use as a jig trailer, so we'll get into that in a minute. Now the 2.8 inch is where I start to get a little bit more diverse. So this is the little 2.8 inch size. One of my favorite free rig baits. So you just basically, you're gonna hook it up with, I got one right here. So this is a 1/0 Bellows hook. That's the one that fits this one the best. So I'll rig this guy up onto either a free rig. You can also Texas rig this, obviously, like we have it here. This one makes a good mini jig trailer. So put it on a black just so you can see it a little bit better, but this is a great little mini jig trailer. You can even trim up the skirt a little bit, but it gives it a ton of action when you're flipping it in there. That tail never stops moving. That's one of the key things with all of the Bellows stuff, and that's why I think Geecrack has become, so sought after, is because this thing just has amazing drawing power. So there it is on the jig there. I will also nose hook drop shot this one. So this is where it gets to the point where I'll start throwing it on more finesse style stuff. Now, another product that Geecrack sells is going to be so small. I don't know how I'm going to show this. They're little NEKO hacks. Now, with this, obviously, you're not going to be able to get a ring around it. Maybe some of you guys can, but for the most part, it is pretty tough. So you take this little NEKO hacks here. You pierce in through that middle plastic. So all of these right in the middle, it's more of a dense plastic. So once you've kind of put that NEKO hacks through there, you're going to have this little point sticking up. It's going to sit nicely under the bottom. These are also available in a black color. So if you're using something darker and you don't want to use clear, they are available in a black. You'll take your set of scissors and you will cut off that point. So now it looks like there's nothing there. You take your favorite wacky rig hook. For some reason, I only have a drop shot hook. You will just put this through that little hook section, grab a couple of the ribbings, and now you have an amazing wacky rigged NEKO hook. Now the cool thing with this NEKO hacks is you can either rig the hook this way or give it a little twisty. You have the option on what direction you want your hook to go. It can either go, you know, side to side, or it can go front to back. You can do that. You can pop a little nail weight in the end, get this thing to really have that true NEKO feel, or you can fish it weightless, which is what we end up doing a lot of the time. This is a really popular way. A lot of people will also do this with the 3.8-inch size. So it's interchangeable per ones. There's a bunch of different sizes of these NEKO hacks. A must-have in the boat, in my opinion. So that is another way we do that. And then since our last video, they've actually come out with another version of the 2.8-inch. This is going to be an elastomer version. So very, very stretchy, very high buoyancy. My favorite way for this, pretty obvious to you guys, is on a Ned rig. This thing stands right up, super durable. It's not going to be as good for weightless applications because they're pretty high float, so it's going to take a little bit more weight to get them down. But on this Ned rig, man, it's going to be tough to beat. So it's another cool addition with that elastomer material that they've kind of been able to add in. These actually have SAF in them as well, which is really nice to see. All right, now moving on to the smallest offering. This is going to be the 2-inch size, just a little baby 2-inch. For me, I really do two things with this. Number one, I use a number 4 size. This is obviously gonna be a little bit bigger hook because that's all I have, but first one is gonna be a nose hook drop shot. This is a phenomenal little bite-sized look. Fish seem to eat this size, especially on a drop shot, the best. My other favorite way to rig this, and this one pains me to give up, is on a micro finesse jig. I love throwing little tiny jigs like this almost all year long. They eat it really good. This is my number 1 preferred go-to trailer. It just sits in there perfectly. These longer strands on the DAMA type cover, I don't know, it's just a match made in heaven. So this is on, like I said, this is on the DAMA type cover. They're gonna come in a little box like this, and you just get one of these little guys. Comes in a bunch of different sizes, but it just fits so perfectly on that. It looks amazing in the water. They can't stand it. So give a couple of those a try. All right, another one. This is in the Bellows family, but this is not a Bellows Gill. It's going to be the 3.8-inch Bellows SHAD. Now, this is same concept, so deep ribbing. Both of these are 3.8-inch. You can see it's a pretty substantial profile difference. Our favorite way to rig this guy is actually on a chatterbait or a bladed jig. This is with it rigged, was that vertical? Yeah, vertical. You can also rig it horizontally. Just show you one more time with it vertical. So it looks really nice, gives it a little bit of bulk, great side-to-side tail action. It actually hunts a little bit with this. You can also rig it this way as well. So it'll go either way. The only reason that I generally rig it like this is when I'm trying to keep it up a little bit, just with that flat bottom, or if you're skipping, this is a great way to rig it. The elastomer version is also really good if you're trying to keep it up a little bit. It's also a lot more durable. These don't like to be re-rigged. So if you're, maybe if you're gonna throw it on a bladed jig, the elastomer version might be a little bit better of the Bellows SHAD, but this is just a phenomenal swim jig, bladed jig trailer. One of my favorites, so check out the Bellows SHAD. All right, guys, that's all things Bellows Gills and Shads for you. Thanks for the support on the first video. I think this one's a little more comprehensive. Yes, no?
No, it's good.
Well, I do know a thing or two about Bellows. We'll check you guys on the next one.